There is a proposed megachurch to be built at the head of the Worthington Valley, and by that I mean the east end of the Worthington Valley. The Worthington Valley stretches from I-83 north all the way over to just beyond Greenspring Avenue, and it's a beautiful valley surrounded by and mostly made up of agricultural farms, either equine or true farmland. And this is the head of this terrific valley. It's a historically prominent valley. It's been designated as a historic district with the Scenic Byway bisecting it, and this is at the head of this valley. It's the cornerstone, so to speak, and I feel that if this project is allowed to proceed as the Baptist Church, Hunt Valley Baptist Church, is hopeful that it does, it will only start the slow eroding of an area that deserves to be protected. I think we need to look at what the implications of a megachurch in a rural area mean. And from something as simple as providing parking for a 1,000-seat church, at minimum, that means 500 cars. Let's just say at minimum, if it's at full capacity. That means blacktop. That means runoff, and that means that the Oregon Branch, which is a small tributary of the Western Run that actually meanders all the way down and then joins a little further down the Jones Falls, it is absolutely guaranteed that that water will be contaminated by that runoff. I think it's important to note that they are intending to use buses to transport parishioners. At the present time, the road, which is Shawan Road, the turn into the driveway would not accommodate a large bus, and they would need to add a turn lane, and that is in direct conflict with the concept of a scenic byway. This is meant to be a 2-lane road within rural character. And I think that if we're talking about adding extra lanes and turn lanes, that is not in keeping with the intent and the designated scenic byway definition. And I can't see how that is in keeping with the community and with this cornerstone, this gem of an area. Additionally, let's just talk about sewer. The land is having difficulty perking. The response we've heard is that they're planning to build their own sewer treatment facility. In looking at the aerial footage and the plan of where they want to place this facility, it just meets the minimum requirement from being away from the actual running water. And the size of it is such that there's no way that runoff won't, through a few years, permeate the ground cover and be in that water. And I am astounded that they think that that's going to be a workable situation, because it won't be. The master plan for Baltimore County has been a good one for many, many years. People really worked hard at creating density areas and rural areas, and this has been a designated rural area. The buffer zone was meant to be I-83, and the intent was well understood that was, they weren't going to bring public systems through there, public water services, and so I think we, as inhabitants of this area, have to stand up and say this has to stop. This isn't in keeping with what the intent is for this area, and it's been well defined. And these are things that people worked really hard for, and we sacrificed densities, we forfeited monies that one could say we could be due, with the intent that the greater good is to protect this area. And I will come back to the fact that this is not something that anyone that lives in this area is jumping for joy about. I mean, it's just not something that's been embraced, and I think it's important that people understand that this is not in keeping with what people have worked so hard to protect.